about your video.
We all get called racist anyway.
Oh yeah, because we were criticizing a rambling guy who doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, let's get going. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast. This is number 710, but we're actually doing part 2 of one we did last week, called ER was wrong about gender, and here's why. It was one of those videos, and it's hard to describe because I wasn't obviously I didn't like the video. A lot of us did not like the video, but we weren't angry. We weren't this is so stupid. We were trying to figure out what this guy is trying to say amongst all these words and amongst all these ramblings he's doing. And he's not so much criticizing ER, but trying to prove to himself with 17 different directions he's going in, and he's just pulling back on each one. And we're like, whoa, you just stopped there. Can we go back to what your point you were trying to make? So we were a bit lost, but it wasn't like a scatterbrained Lindsay Ellis sort of idea of video.
I think he is a bit scatterbrained.
Well, it was a bit rambly, and we were still kind of confused. That's why I wasn't what is wrong with this guy? Just where is he going? I wasn't sure what the point of this video was. If you're going to criticize someone, you criticize that person or that video, and you talk about the video specifically and parts of it, and you say why it's right and wrong and all that jazz. You don't just start going off on this weird tangent about what it means to be trans and your definition with this multi-flag in the background and showing bell curves of males and females based off height. And
he can't interpret right,
which he doesn't understand. Yeah, we were just sitting there going you're getting a fraction of paying attention in class sort of message of what did you do today in university in lecture hall? Oh, we did statistics. Oh, what'd you learn? The standard deviation. What's that? I don't know. I know it's a thing though. It's yeah, thanks. What does it mean? How does it work? Where does it come from? What's a mean? What's a median? What's an average? None of that. You didn't get any of that understanding or did not partake in that to explain to us. So I was a bit, sad. It's just I was what is this? What is going on? So
we live in an age where so many people know so many things wrong that in general, we seem to know negative. The amount of knowledge seems to be in the negative.
Yeah, and I felt that the video was almost custom tailored to Whisp just pausing on every sentence and going, wait a second, what is this guy saying? Let's figure this out. And you just go on for a good minute. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, my brain is waiting for a point. And you're no, this is wrong. Okay. Anyway, we were around it about 30 seconds. I think we stopped around the 10-minute mark. Thank you, Mike, for figuring that out. So just to get some context, and no, we have not watched the guy on screen. And this is where Wisp was well, I'm German, therefore I know these words. And blah, blah.
Haven't watched that yet, keyword.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, he's so wrong here. This is so dumb. Yeah. But I explained that last time.
That's right. So we're going to get some context.
The key is male. The key is male because it is phallic, and you put it into a lock.
Right.
We have a joke about that.
Yeah, and just because something is phallic doesn't mean it's sexual. By its nature, it's sexual, but it doesn't mean it has a sexual connotation.
It is usually why phallic things get called male.
Yes.
The male sexes instead of the female one or the neutral one.
We talk about this,
and things that are round and soft and have holes in them are usually female.
Right. We talk about this in electronics all the time. The male and female ports. There's nothing arousing about that. It's just the fact that that's what they're called based off sex. That's all it is. There's nothing inherently inferior or superior. This is the way nature works. We call it after observation.
The German word for the gay man, the faggot, is feminine.
Sure.
Die Schwuchtel.
Yeah. It's not an insult.
There's a reason for that, because it's not about the phallic part, it's about a hole.
All right. Anyway, let's get going, and we'll probably pause as soon as we get to the point we never reached yet. So here we go.
As feminine, associating with small,
you're wrong. Concept. The intricate little thing, well, intricate maybe, but little is rather, we put that into the neutrum, the neutral thing. What would be the it? And because those things get called diminutive, which you can do in English as well. The German ending for diminutives is lein or chen, like kind. So child would be kind, which is already neutrum, das Kind, which is similar to your word kind, to be kind to someone, because children kind of are in that general realm of this word. You know how language travels around and things change a bit. But the little cuter child is Kindchen or Kindlein. That's the diminutive. That's neutral. The German word for girl is not a femininum. It is a neutrum, because it is Mädchen, Chen, diminutive, because it comes from Magd. Die Magd, it would be the maidservant. And the girl is therefore das Mädchen, so the little maidservant. While the old German word for boy was not Junge, which would be the young, but der Knappe, der Knabe, which is derived from der Knappe, which is the knave. So you got these medieval connotations from these words. And we talk diminutives with little things and cute things, not feminine. This guy knows nothing. Get out of my language.
A key that actively contradict each other, hard-baked into two coexisting modern cultures and languages. If you watch my Persona 4 series, you may remember the third gender, but not really a gender, but kind of a gender that Japan had in the pre-Meiji eras. If you haven't seen those videos, the Persona 4 analysis series is definitely worth watching. Native American cultures also famously...
Yeah, I don't know how we go from Persona 4 to Japan had a third gender during a period that they used a word for. I'm not even sure. I'm curious to watch that video, but
we have a pop culture thing for a limited time that started at some point and then faded out again. Sounds like a fashion thing.
Wow, does it remind you of something?
I didn't mean to imply anything here. I just said things that are factual.
Where did all this come from? I have no idea.
Whatever you derive from that is absolutely your own fault.
What does history mean? I don't know. What does that all mean? It doesn't happen at all. Anyway, let's keep going.
Signifiers other and not make such exceptions outside of just two as well. So
yeah, I don't know. Transe is not really a gender.
You can always re-listen if you need to, and while wording it this way makes sense to me, there's probably other people who would explain it better to you. But if you think that you have absorbed the general idea of what I...
By the way, this is the ugliest and most disturbing failed attempt at a rainbow I have ever seen.
And it's moving. Like, why did he make it move? It's kind of like this weird, slow waterfall.
It's all sick colors. It's all it's all pastel tones of sickness that are roughly associated with diseases, with bile.
And they're bleeding into each other, so they're kind of faded. And it's like, this is not what you want.
Whatever drugs you're taking, these are the wrong ones.
Yeah, this is not how you want to paint a room or anything. You want things to be clean and clear and bright and not faded.
Yeah, go back to basic drugs. So try alcohol.
Said, revisit ER statements.
Okay. He's bringing up ER. Fantastic. The claim: gender is not your biological sex, but what your brain believes is your sex. What your brain believes? Okay. Our brains are biological.
We talked about this last time.
I know. I just don't like that phrase. Our brains are biological. So how could one's mental state be separate from one's biology? Right.
Yeah. That is true, and that is the result of sexology. I in part overlap with neurology. You cannot distinguish your alleged gender from your biological sex. Your brain is your brain. You are in your brain. You're trapped in your brain, in the simulation that your brain makes out of the sensory input you get through your sensory organs. That is a snapshot, a little slice of the physical world we move in. We can't see everything. We can't see the entire electromagnetic spectrum, the entire light spectrum. We can't see that. Some creatures, some animals can see more. We don't. We are not rainbow shrimp. Rainbow shrimp, I think they can see almost the entire light spectrum. This is absolutely insane. Yeah, but the thing is, this whole gender thing, made up by communists and pedophiles in order to justify their magical nonsense ideology in which they somehow can transcend the material world biology, which is part of the material world, of course, that they feel trapped in, that they want to transcend. So they don't use the word trans as transition from one sex to the other. They mean it as transcending biology, which is why all the left, when the leftists, the socialists talk about trans, what you see all these weird LARPers, these performers that don't want to be man or woman because they are not gender dysphoric, they are not transsexuals. They have this magical pseudoscience belief that they are beyond their biological constraints. And the thing is, on the other side, with that super rare medical condition that they base all the stuff on, that they twist it out of, that super rare medical condition is really your brain is misdeveloped. It's developed in an anomalous way, and therefore has basically, imagine it as error messages between the interaction with the body and the brain, you could say, does believe it is interacting with the body of the opposite sex, and if it then gets all the wrong messages from the body and signals, it doesn't get signals where it expects signals to come from, it's just playing broken windows, basically. And that drives you quite mad over time. It's more like constant psychological stress. This is what causes a long-term form of depression called dysthymia in the past. But that's basically how that goes. It's a very, very slow burnout. So people with actual gender dysphoria are not having fun. They're not jumping around, having a party, being happy that they're trans. No, they don't want to have this condition. And they want to get rid of it either way. Most of them, you cannot, if they even talk about it, would tell you, if you ask them, hey, okay, if you could get a pill that you only need to take once, and it doesn't magically biologically transform you, but it would take the gender dysphoria away. Would you be fine with that? Because the other thing, well, we don't have it. They would say yes. Because it's stress, it's pain, it ruins your life. And people with a conscience that are in this state, they often, when they got to the point that they develop some empathy, they don't want to be a burden on potential partners, so they isolate themselves, which is a very, very sad course of life. But it's something you see with many depressed people, where they fall into an isolation spiral. I'm getting a bit off topic. The thing is, what the left and what this guy is talking about, he is at best a benefit to the doubt interpretation. He is so completely misinformed by ideological propaganda garbage that he believes ER is wrong when, in fact, ER is right.
Yeah, you can go back to Aristotle and his belief that the mind is part of the body, they're inseparable. And this is the big distinction between Aristotelian Nicomachean ethics and Plato's view of the body and the worlds of being and becoming. So we've known this for a very long time. Your mind is based off your body, your mental state, your blood, your neurons, all the wonders of neurology, and your diet, and all these other things in your environment that cause you to have a certain way of thinking.
Yeah.
So you
And if you
cannot
want
disconnect
to
that.
if you want to have spiritual beliefs, souls, and all of this other stuff, then look at the body, look at the brain especially as the filter through which it interacts. And if that thing is broken, well, then you act wrong. You don't act as it's supposed to be because the wrong signals get through. It just doesn't work. If you get brain damage, are you then still acting the way you should, or that you were? Are you still yourself, or are you different?
Yeah, we have looked at the brain, not entirely. Obviously, there's a lot we don't understand, but we know certain aspects of the brain control speech, control how your vision works, how you perceive depth, and
Even personality.
Personality is definitely part of it. The frontal lobes are very important with that. There's all kinds of elements of the brain, and we've cut it up into 4 major sections to say what does what. And we don't know exactly how, but we're getting there. It's a very slow process. And it's very obvious that mental state and how you think, how you process, how you memorize things, how you store memory is very specific to how the brain operates. It's based off, does the brain have enough oxygen going to it? Does it have enough nutrients going to it? Is it healthy? Has there been any damage to it? Were you born impartially? Did you get a concussion? Was there a blood clot? Was there some sort of necrosis happening? What was going on that caused you to have a problem? So yeah, mental state is very, very specific to the brain and the rest of your body. That's kind of an obvious thing, though. We shouldn't have to mention that at this point. Think
of these very, very tragic conditions like a ghost limb, where somebody loses a limb, but the brain didn't get the update. Mike?
Phantom limb?
I think that's a different one.
Well, even with people who get organ transplants, which is fascinating, and we talk about the heart transplants, like people who are young that get a transplant from a guy who was like really into beer, they suddenly have cravings for beer and they're 16 or whatever the case is. It's this fascinating relationship between desire and bodily organs, which have nothing to do with, you would think, mental states, but there's something going on in the body that causes them to desire certain either carbohydrates or something along those lines that connect the dots going, oh, I want pork or steak, even though I'm I don't eat pork, I'm Jewish, whatever. Like that's these weird things going on with the relationship between the brain and the body that we don't understand yet.
It's also a complete misconception that you are only your brain.
Right.
And you could be a brain in a jar. It is that the entire nervous system of your body is relevant for your brain to function right. And I think the brain is just the biggest nerve cluster in your body. I think if you combine all the nerves together, you get like 40%, which I found really surprising. I thought the brain has the biggest amounts in one place. Well, it has the largest amount in one place. But what I remember, it's if you compare brain versus rest of the body, the rest of the body has more nerves because there are also other nerve clusters around the body as well.
All right, here is JJJ Manis. Hey, sir, how's it going? People like this are why depression has been increasing in children, and worse, they'll always act like they did nothing wrong. I don't know what's
worse. They act like they're helping.
I don't like this attempt at pseudopsychology or therapy. That, oh, you just have to figure it out for yourself and you'll be fine. It's like, no, that's not how therapy works.
No, that gets people off bridges.
If you actually want to understand yourself, you have to actually go to a therapist. He'll explain things, have you do a battery of tests. They'll ask you a bunch of questions. How are you breathing? How are you sleeping? What's your personal life like? What's your diet like? All these big basic stuff.
That would be a good therapist. Oh. I have met those that sit there and they don't ask questions and they complain that you are wasting their time. when all they are is catastrophe tourists. They just want to hear your horror story, and then they send you on your way.
Well, if you do want to...
Oh, good that we talked about it.
If you do want to go for therapy, everyone's different in therapy. There's no one size fits all. There's psychodynamics, there's psychiatry, there's all kinds of therapists out there. So
there are bad therapists out there.
Oh yeah, everyone has their own skill level.
There are countries that have more than they have good ones.
Okay.
And if you have if you have a broken training system for that, broken university system with already incompetent supervisors that just wave all the students through because they themselves are hacks and narcissists, so they can't even tell whether a student isn't even up for the job, and think like, but she studied 5 years now and went through the supervision. Like, it would be so mean to not give her the license now, even though she failed all her patients in the supervision. That was totally the fault of the patients. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen such cases.
All right, let's not get into any
and you can look up and you can look up the what is it, the reviews online of these types of former students that now got their license, and they only get bad reviews, so they're just causing more harm.
All right, anyway, let's keep going.
Gender is not what your brain believes is your sex. Our brains are biological, so how could one's mental state be separate from our biology? Do you see how broken of a premise this is?
No.
He nearly gets nothing right about gender or sex, to the level where responding to it is almost impossible.
Okay, what did he get wrong about gender or sex in this sense?
He lives in his complete fantasy world, and the thing is, every time we see the left's definition of these redefinitions of these terms, because this is correct, we are lost because that is completely out of the wazoo. So we're dealing with a completely nonsensical worldview that has nothing to do with reality anymore, and therefore people like this guy are incapable of interacting with reality anymore.
Well, this is what I have a problem with. He's so smarter than ER, he can't even possibly understand what ER is saying. It's like, what do you mean? If you are able to criticize someone, you have to grasp...
No, he just says he's wrong.
Well, you can't just say, I give
Maybe
up.
He does understand it. Maybe he does understand it, but he disagrees and therefore and thinks it's wrong because he has his magical Weltanschauung.
his own way of thinking must be right. Therefore, if you are not even in the vicinity, I'm not even going to bother talking to you about it. Oh, God. This is what we call a bigot, guys. I don't care if you say, well, I don't even understand what he's saying. He's wrong. Or, I do understand what he's saying. I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to feign I don't understand. It's so impossible. I'm not going to talk about it. You're still saying the same thing. You're a bigot. See, we can grasp kind of what this guy is saying when he makes sense. This on the screen is not complicated. And we've talked about the mental state, so it
makes sense. It's yeah, and this is from the ground up reasonable. You're a biological creature. Your brain is full of neurons. That's where your thinking happens and all of your mental stuff. So if your brain does mental stuff, that's probably your mental state. And when your biological state, when your brain changes, and your mental stuff changes, man, what do you think a migraine is?
Well, we can go into the mind-body problem in philosophy, which we've had for a few thousand years. That was resolved quite easily in the past 100. So it's not like this complex thing that we need to go into. And most people understand that if you affect the brain, you affect the mind. So we shouldn't even have to talk about this. The fact that this person goes, this is bubkiss, you're like, dude, give us a reason why. And he's not going to give us one. That's where we say...
We'll see. Maybe he'll put his definition in contrast.
Oh, God.
Trying to answer a question like, did you know trees don't exist? Saying yes or saying no is accepting the premise that trees don't exist.
No, it's not.
The fuck is kind of... Who the fuck asked you do trees exist?
It's about no, and that's not how that works.
If you could,
you can answer no. Where the fuck did you get that nonsense from?
Yeah, you could say, is 2 + 2 5 correct? And I can say, no, that's not correct because I understand whole numbers.
Did you know 2 + 2 is 5? No, you are wrong. That is the answer.
Like what is this weird? Do trees like what kind of a straw man was that?
Did you know trees? Did you know that trees don't exist? What kind of fucking question are you asking?
Hey, did you know that biological sex exists? There are sperm and ova. And when they get together, when these gametes get together, they create a new life form. Ooh. Of the same species, by the way.
All right.
Very random, very, very rarely hybrids, but with humans it's usually the same species.
Yeah, this is
You don't get a weird goat hybrid by eating goat.
You know, if your high school biology teacher was listening to this, they'd be like, "What is this guy on? Like, what is he talking about? Where did he get this information?" Oh, anyway. 11 minutes. That was 1 minute of the video that we started from after 30 seconds of context.
Yeah.
Wow, we are stuck on this. Okay.
Yeah, this was the peak where we decided, like, oh god, no.
Okay.
This is a lost cause.
Yeah, at least
let's see where it goes downhill from here.
At least he's addressing ER after 10 minutes. So, okay, let's keep going.
It's a question that's premises are so fun, literally can't be engaged with.
Yes,
as
it can.
Forward answer.
Yes,
He's
of
literally
course.
so wrong. He didn't even formulate the question right.
What is the question, you genius? Like, what do you want from the guy? Do you want like a formal logic question? Like, what is? You can't just have a statement. It's a wrong question. There's no question mark at the end of that statement, sir. It's a sentence. It's a claim. How is it wrong? How is it so beyond your intelligence you can't even formulate it?
Gender is not your fashion sense. Your fashion sense can just be shit. And calling that queer doesn't make it any better or acceptable. You are just disgusting.
You know, I wish everything was queer so we wouldn't have like this mafia alphabet.
If everything is queer, is anything?
Because
then that's just normal.
If the category of people who are different is just different or queer, then keep it that way. Like you're different, fine, great.
Look, the thing is that which is today queer fashion, you could 20, 30 years ago simply associate with punk, because punk goes against the norm.
Right. Which
is what queer is supposed to be. It's going against the norm. It is not straight. It is queer. It is askew, and that's what punk was all about. Always against the establishment, against what the norm is, the cultural norm, the expected. And if everything is queer, so everything is this crime against fashion sense, against aesthetic, crime against aesthetics, basically, a deliberate crime against aesthetics and beauty, then punk will become well-dressed, tuxedo-wearing art appraisal. Classical art appraisal. That is what punk will then become. Because that is then the true queer. Because the establishment is the queer shit, so the punk then becomes the conservative, which is something we've already seen in the punk scene, by the way.
Well, I would prefer if the alphabet comes shortened so we could at least say it properly without having to list a bunch of letters.
Yeah. Jay Jameson says Goth was way better than this stuff now. That is one, true. Two, it was in large part ruined largely by these weirdos. Because they always need to be part of every subculture and get everything wrong about everything. And then nobody is interested in it anymore, except the few people who keep to themselves. And because it's really part of themselves. But most people then don't want anything to do with the thing anymore because it's been just so unbearably sullied by these attention whores that get nothing right.
Okay.
I mentioned before, since it has been 10 minutes or something, this is based on a quote of Rebecca, essentially saying that they want to break down rigid gender roles.
Who's Rebecca? Who are we talking about?
Sugar? Are we talking about...
Oh, Sugar, yeah.
Oh.
Are we talking about Steven Universe? I think we're talking about Steven Universe.
He just said Rebecca. I'm like, dude, can you give us some background on what the hell you're talking about?
This is a lefty. Everybody is on first name terms.
Yeah, Rebecca down the street. Yeah, I know her. Okay, thanks.
I know 15 Rebeccas.
Let the girl
Help
play with
me.
the truck. It's not some heinous, crazy idea. Finally, let's get into his John Money.
It is a heinous, crazy
and just
idea.
Try to keep in mind everything that you just learned here, and see how confidently he asserts his hateful and ignorant mindset while trying to loosely...
Okay, so he's hateful and ignorant because you disagree with him. And you can't understand him.
Sounds like projection.
You can't even formulate what he's saying. Therefore, okay, whatever.
...a pedophile.
She
John
is...
Money thought differently.
She's literally doing the Trevor Project thing. What do you think that thing does?
Yeah, we have enough evidence to lay the claim at her.
Yeah, so there's people like
Have you seen her? I do not Google. Do not search for her Ed and Eddie fan fiction cartoons that she drew. Do not look for them. That's all I'm gonna say. She's a pedophile.
All right.
He thought they were socialized enough to be a girl. That boy could fund. He thought there were no innate differences between males and females. Contrary to the entire field of biology now, John Money was unable to get anybody to take his gender pet project seriously until a boy by the name of David Reimer came along. Upon birth, David lost his willy.
I'm surprised he actually placed this part. Let's see how he tries to refute it.
David lost his willy during the penile mutilation ritual, and so Money found the perfect opportunity to swoop in and perform a bout of human experimentation. He had the infant boy's testicles lopped off, and then had the parents raise David to be a girl while undergoing hormone treatments. Furthermore, he had David, as a young child, imitate sex acts with his twin brother to normalize David as a bottom. Money even had the brothers undress and engage in genital inspections, which he took a photograph of on at least one occasion. Money described the experiments as successful, though David never ended up identifying as a woman and described his visits with Money as traumatic. But whatever, close enough. Except that in adulthood, David's brother killed himself by ODing on antidepressants, and David later shot himself in the head with a sawed-off shotgun.
He also wrote a goodbye letter before he did that, and explaining all of it, and hoped that his suicide would draw some attention to the pedophile sexual mad abuse of this completely insane communist, John Money. But instead, nothing of the like happened, and the experiment was repeated about a dozen times in the coming decades all around the world, always with negative results. Nobody talks about the other cases, by the way. At least we talk somewhat about this one. The only thing I can imagine that this guy is going to do is justify, oh, see, you can't actually change someone's gender. That's what was proven with this. That means all the children, all the boys who want to wear dresses are girls, so we need to castrate them.
Yeah, the argument...
Otherwise they kill themselves. That's the only argument he could make with this.
Yeah, the argument against John Money would be John Money believes that it's raising a person to be a certain way, whereas I believe he's going to argue it's nature. It's part of your being. That you are already this way. You can't unlearn it.
Some parts are pure nature, some parts are pure nurture, and many parts are a mix of both. The scientific consensus is not one or the other. It is more a 40-40-20.
All right.
You're always going to see people that are going to say, well, the Dave Reimer case could have been successful. I'm living proof.
To this day, there isn't a single shred of evidence supporting the existence of gender, in humans or the rest of the animal kingdom for that matter. So remember, kids, when you use the term gender, you're using the unproven terminology of a mad scientist who happily committed human experimentation, tortured a pair of twin boys, and drove them both to suicide, and got away with it. But I'm sure there's nobody else who would want to experiment on children with such a thing.
John Money is despicable, and you won't find a single professional researching today who believes in what he did or...
Why are you perpetuating his ideas then?
Wait a second. If you don't believe in John Money, then why do you want all these books in classrooms teaching kids to be gay? Why would you say, how could you say that? If it's based off nurture, meaning teaching someone What's the big deal? Why do you want all these books in classrooms?
Yeah, why are you using terms that were proven wrong?
That he invented.
Yeah.
This is getting bizarre. Like, do you understand what John Money did? And what
is this doublethink? Are you so far past the cognitive dissonance that you are in doublethink land?
Yeah, like we
you can hold two opposing thoughts at the same time.
We don't like what the Nazis did, but here's what we're doing. What? Okay.
Well, it is race socialism as well. So yes,
Yeah,
they
I
do
know.
what the Nazis did.
They want
So do the Chinese, by the way. That's also race socialism.
Let's not jump too far into other politics. Let's focus on.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. It's all the same. Socialism always turns out the same. You just need to give it enough time.
Okay.
It is also not the sexes, and as I explained already,
why are we told that then constantly by leftist lunatics, and why do they insist that men, biological men, who have not undergone any transitional means are completely eligible to go into women's sports, and even those that are on hormones, like for 12 days or something, are led into women's sports, even though those hormones don't do shit at that age.
All right,
because we are. I just want to say this: when you've been for 20 years on testosterone, that is basically being lifelong on steroids compared to a woman. You will outdo them. This is this is out of question.
Okay.
But yeah.
Let's look at the logic on the screen here. So we have claim number 1, gender has no biological aspect, so X is not material. So it's something opposite of material, whatever that is. Now he's saying, or the second claim is, gender has some biological elements or has some material elements.
Signifiers.
Right.
Yeah, he claims these are the exact opposite claims. That is, these are not exact opposites. An exact opposite would be gender has solely biological.
Yes.
It's solely biological. That would be the opposite claim. This is a compromise claim, basically. But the thing is that gender is biologically informed. And in over 99% of cases, it is completely congruent. It is even congruent in homosexuals.
So what I was trying to get at was the first one is A is not B. Then the second one is A has some B. And now the claim that he is making, this YouTuber, is these are opposites, which is incorrect.
Yeah, because B is not A, therefore B must be anti-A.
Yeah, it's
not entirely the same. He here on this single slide. This is the most simplistic way of how he demonstrates that he is incapable of basic logic.
Yes, pretty much. I was going to say that this is wrong just looking at it. And if you are a person doing a paper, if you are a person doing research, you're observing the world, and you're trying to write down a theory, and you go, I think these are opposites, and you don't understand what the word opposite even means, you have no business opening your mouth trying to criticize someone else on how you think they're wrong. When we are looking at you in a purely we don't care what the topic is at this point. We're just listening to you.
Things like this make me think that nobody who is not at the age where you would theoretically be out of high school should make any content on the internet.
Yeah, it's like because
you're too dumb. You're too
7 years old.
You don't function in your brain doesn't function right.
Yeah, and you're doing like your multiplication tables, and you got 7 times 7 is 48. And you're like, no, it's not. You got that wrong. No, it's 48. It's like, no, it's not 48. You got that wrong.
One arrow.
Like you're just off by just like you're still wrong. So you got to correct the problem before you go on to 7 times 8. You can't
no, it's almost right.
Yeah.
You get half a point.
You got your multiplication wrong. Yeah, you're okay. We'll give you something. So these are the kinds of people we're dealing with, folks, and it's sad to see it in this way because the first 9 minutes, 10 minutes was just, huh? What? Where are you going?
And here's the weird thing, that these are the types who believe they are more intelligent than the conservatives.
Well, I don't mind criticizing people. Just get your bloody, get your facts right, get your logic right, get your references right. This is sad. Like even Maggie Mae Fish will get her references right. She'll say, "Oh, this is the green room."
It's probably the one thing she can do.
Yeah, she could copy paste shit and go, "Oh, okay, this person said that." Like, thanks, Maggie, you got it.
And and just yesterday, this was a very we were previewing a video of someone together with that person who made it, who's a very very good academic, very highly intelligent, very autistic as well, and I had to correct that person on how the grammar of the German language works, because somebody who that person holds in very high regard had told that the German grammar is the same as Japanese grammar, where you put the verb at the end of the sentence.
What?
That was my reaction for that. Exactly that. I was about to crawl through the microphone to shake you.
Was that a native German speaker?
How can you say that?
Was that a native German speaker? Like, how did that happen?
No, English, American, and the other person must have been as well, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
And it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because English grammar is a derivative of German grammar. Fuck you. It's so dumb.
Oh boy, that was weird. Okay.
So what I wanted to say with that, even highly intelligent people can be massively wrong about some things because they're misinformed.
Right. Okay.
This person here, however, is not a highly intelligent person misinformed. It's a not very intelligent person being completely misinformed by propaganda, and the lack of intelligence leads to, and lack of knowledge in general, leads to a very high susceptibility for ideological bullshit. He could just as well tell us about zodiac signs and how the planets alignments causes weird changes in people and their behaviors, and how to predict the future. Which is basically what most of these female SJWs who are non-binary believe in anyway.
All right, we are at 13 minutes. Wow. Okay. I think he should stick to talking because his diagrams and images on screen are not working for
Oh, thank fuck a gray background. I need this.
Yeah. My eyes aren't bleeding.
I just went for a migraine yesterday. I don't.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
I explained already, the biological difference between the sexes is on a large bimodal distribution that has infinite variations.
No.
While John Money was wrong, him being wrong in his...
Do you know what infinite means?
How does bimodal become infinite? What are you talking about?
You can't mix and match these at random. There are patterns.
I mean, if you talk
there
about
are patterns, and there are usually biological causes for these anomalies.
When you have
the anomalies happen, and the anomalies are rare.
Yeah,
they're not 50-50 there with the normalcy.
So you have your stats, you have your distribution, and you chart it on a line graph or whatever, and it comes to be a bimodal. So you have two bumps, right? Those
you have two bell curves.
Well, essentially, yeah, and then at the end, you run out of your source, so you only have the 10 or 20 or 100 data points, and that's it. There's no infinite data points. There's no it stops. The line chart stops. It's not infinite. What are you How do you even know what a distribution is, sir? It's not a parabola where it goes on into infinity. That would be crazy. You interviewed everyone on the planet while they're being born, and what are you talking about?
Man, if you really want to lose your mind, Trigonometry had recently interviewed Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I only could stand watching the intro supercut of the first minute, because I think it was complete madness. It was complete insanity. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson has completely left the stadium of science and is completely in bonkers loony land. This is the man is unhinged.
Okay, well, let's not.
And it's about this topic. It's about this very topic.
Oh, don't
and he's
even.
talking complete madness. And I'm looking for some friends if they have time where we cover this best tomorrow, because I don't want to wait too long. But because I want to watch that, but I don't think I can watch that alone. I will scream at the wall or something, and until I go.
This is
lose my voice.
This is the problem with people who think they're smart and they're just they think they're wise at everything, like Sam Harris and other people. It's like, guys, you have your you have your disciplines, you have your experience. Stay in your lane, talk about those things, and the rest of us with our fandoms and our passions will stay with our lane.
What is Sam Harris' specialization anyway?
He's a neurologist, or he was a
really
doctor of neurology. Yeah, I think.
Okay, so actually something reasonable.
Oh yeah, no, he's a smart guy, but he jumped into religion like 15 years ago or whatever, and he just kept jumping into culture and politics. It's like, dude, stop. Go, stay in your lane, please.
He doesn't even know how to meditate right.
Oh, yeah, well.
It's DeGrasse Tyson is so wise. How come he gets into arguments with children over fucking snowflakes being the wrong shape in the Frozen movie? For Santa Claus, and how the deer couldn't do that speed, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, the snowflakes are wrong. That is scientifically important. But with biological sex, we have to level the playing field between the sexes and just judge people by their hormone levels and such. He's talking this. This is what he said.
Really?
In that 1 minute supercut, he's completely off the rails. Okay. It's like his mind went into space and his body is left here all confused. And
if he was like one of those, I can't remember the term, but the guy who just is generalized in everything, and they know a little bit of everything all at once, like that's a specific kind of discipline. But he's an astrophysicist, right? He's in one area about the cosmos. He can talk about black holes and Newton's laws and all kinds of other great stuff. But as soon as he comes to politics or anything local, it's like, dude,
biology.
Yeah, like don't even.
He's a physicist. He's a space physicist. He is not a biologist.
Yeah.
Just like Bill Nye. Bill Nye is not a biologist. He's a bloody engineer.
All right, well, let's keep going.
Don't let an engineer talk about biology, just like you don't let him talk about cooking.
Yeah.
And I've lost the last four.
All right, that's fine. Let's keep going.
Actually lends more credibility to current conceptions of transness and all of the information and factual evidence that we have. Using the sort of out-of-date term...
You are ignoring most of the data we have, because if you did that, you would not talk about children being trans, because we don't do that.
Yeah, but he's talking about the current trends of transness, which is in your head. So some guy thought of something...
There is the lapping going on, but that is all based on bullshit. And that is the stuff Rebecca Sugar is doing with her playing around with gender in children. And
yeah, but this is like saying I'm a trans person, therefore I can do everything that a woman can, even though that's impossible. Because someone said that recently, and they can develop breasts with certain chemicals or whatever. It's like, that doesn't mean you're a woman, buddy. Just because you have some
biologically, no. Biologically, transsexuals are not the opposite sex. They cannot be. It is not possible. We don't have the technology.
Yeah,
that is what you must understand. We do not have the technology. If we had the technology, we wouldn't even be talking about this whole problem, because you would just go to your doctor and go, "Hey, I have gender dysphoria. This is horrible. Okay, let's scan your brain. Oh yeah, we can see your brain is actually anomalous. Let's fix the brain. We can either fix your brain, or we can change your biological sex." So currently we can't do either. We can somewhat fix the brain. We can that is what HRT does. But you don't do that before the end of puberty, because then you just mess around with puberty and you're likely causing more damage.
Yeah.
We know this. We knew this 20 years ago.
And we have...
You wait out puberty because it fixes the fucking issue.
What was that movie that came out? It was a detransitioning stories across the world. And there's all these detransitioning stories on YouTube or elsewhere of people that were forced. This is also in Canada. Of people that were forced into transition therapy because that was the thing to do 10 years ago. And it's this gigantic fiasco.
It's so long already. Yeah, it's a deliberate human experiment whilst making money by mutilating children all around the world at the same time.
And these are the people that are still alive.
With no medical basis.
Yeah, they just did this because others told them, "Oh, we're going to fix you up. We're going to help you out because we have therapy for that."
The WHO from the top down said you must do this. Because the WHO is corrupted by communist activists who take influence onto what is to be medical practice. That is the problem. There is no real science going on in this field anymore. It's gone. It's just activist nonsense. It's communist bullshit like Lysenkoism, just that our generation's Lysenkoism is gender ideology. Lysenkoism also has something to do with farming, in the sense that it takes basic ideas of farming and then twists them into complete nonsense, while the gender ideology takes the rare, really existing medical conditions that we're talking that are there, and then completely twists bullshit out of it. And now we're trapped in the bullshit. We're not talking about the real medical conditions. Aiden Paladin had a video taken down recently, in which he exposed scientific fraud by showing the bullshit in some papers that were done. Maybe you have heard of these. They went through the meme channels, and in that she interviewed someone with one of the rarest intersex conditions on the planet. I don't remember the name of that condition. It's where you have the closest thing to real hermaphroditism, and that person there that Aiden interviewed also, like us real gender dysphorics, complained that the left is just abusing us, using us for our medical conditions, while doing nothing for our medical conditions. They're not here to help us, they're just here to use us for a narrative. And they don't want to help us because if our problems actually got helped with, got resolved, then the left would have nothing to talk about anymore. And what led to the university actually doing something was the mention that there's an intersex person that is not getting heard. Suddenly everybody starts moving. So it doesn't matter. The whole scientific fraud thing doesn't even matter. It matters when one of the now holy minorities don't get heard. But that probably, we'll see what comes of that, because that usually only works as long as people don't know that we are not on board with the socialist narrative. Once they know that, we become persona non grata. We then become trash, because we are not on board. We are not goose-stepping with the socialists, which most of us aren't. But all the weirdos, the attention whores, the LARPers, Münchhausens, they do, because they benefit from it. It's like basically the same as when you live in a socialist state. The people who are actually capable of something or have real problems, they're ignored by the state. The people who get benefits, who profit from the socialist hellhole, are those that best LARP being a socialist. And this is basically the same thing.
That reminds me what's happening in Canada this week with the 1 million March for Children. Very similar to the truckers' protests happened a few years ago. It's
Everybody getting their bank accounts locked?
I haven't heard any horrible things outside of the counter protesters screaming and attacking people. Basically, Antifa. They're attacking these people.
They're always that Antifa. This is one thing you understand that you never talked about. In across the pond. Antifa is the militant wing of the communist parties. Antifa originated, or this militant movement of Antifa originated in Germany in the Weimar Republic. And it has been still going, uninterrupted. And a few years ago, or 10 years ago, it spread all across the world. And that's where you then got all these riots from suddenly. They were all instigated. This was all organized. It all happened everywhere at the same time. And the flags they had then, whether that was in Sweden, whether that was in Mexico, whether that was in Canada, whether that was in New Zealand or Australia, the flags you saw were the flags of the German Antifa. Because they all read the German Antifaschistische Aktion. They didn't read anti-fascist action or anything in the local language. This was an export of German Antifa. They were organizing this worldwide to set up new cells in all these countries and coordinate them. Antifa is not a grassroots movement. It is not independently operating cells. They kind of try to give themselves that look to play innocent. But this Antifa is one of the most highly organized organizations on the planet.
Well,
you must understand that this is a militant operation of the socialist and communist parties around the world.
Well, we've had some vandalization, not from the marchers, but from the counter protest in Ontario. So I think there were 3 educational buildings that were vandalized. We've had the mayors of Yukon Territory and Ottawa, say these are counter protests are violent. There's been some arrests, nothing too serious. But it's getting creepy. It's getting weird. And I see nothing wrong with parents saying, I want what's best for my kids. It's another thing to have a counter protest of people attacking these parents. Because one thing you don't want to do is fight a parent over their child. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard someone do to another person.
That's what socialism does. Socialism is opposed to the family. So the people who want to uphold their own family units are the enemy.
I know, but just imagine if someone literally knocked on your door and said, "We're coming for your kids." It's like, are you want to die? What do you seriously want to go through this with me right now?
Smart. Do you have castle doctrine laws in your?
Oh
country?
No, not in Ontario. No.
Well, then they can take your children, no problem. Yeah. That's the whole thing. It's what they did in East Germany. It's what they did in Nazi Germany. It's what they did in the rest of the Soviet Union. It's what they're doing right now in.
I didn't want to go to that far, but it's just happening this week. It was in the news.
It's going.
It's what I'm dealing with my family and all these other jazz. I have family in Ottawa and all this stuff. So it's kind of like, okay, this is what Canada's facing. I don't know how it is in the States. The States are always a hot. You
are facing right now is socialist takeover.
Well, it is interesting because the federal parties. We've had census polls in the past 2 months, and the Liberal Party is going way down, and the Progressive Conservatives are shooting up number 1.
Progressive Conservatives?
The PCs, yeah.
So they're socialist conservatives.
That's just their.
Do you have any real conservatives in Canada?
That's a very good question, but that's the best we got.
So the best you got is still socialist.
No. They are actually against a lot of crap. That they're not the best, but again, they are the biggest. Why do they call them
just progressive? Don't they know what that means?
Smart,
you know that's Hegelian nonsense that just leads to hell.
Anyway, let's change topics. Get back to the video. Here is Mr. JJJ Madness. Thank you for the 10, sir. Again, this is happening because he's desperate to defend Steven Universe. The cartoon is about LGBT rock people who all emotionally manipulate each other and then solve it with hugs.
Yeah.
Has to protect his fan. So he's just a fan. He's not even an academician. He doesn't study this stuff. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I must protect Steven Universe with some pseudo-intellectual gobbledygook and disagree with him and not even address him because he can't. I don't even understand what he's saying. Like, okay, fair enough. You're not that smart, and you like bad cartoons.
The trick is, and the trick is, if you cannot explain your point to a 5-year-old, so simple that a 5-year-old understands it, then you haven't understood the topic.
Which is funny because
even if you go to university, it simply means you haven't understood it enough to be a teacher, which probably means you haven't understood it enough.
I don't expect.
And of course, not everyone is cut out to be a teacher, but it's a good measure of have you understood it? Can you distill it down to a point where you can explain it to a random person on the street?
I don't think this guy is capable of even getting into university to attend a lecture.
He can go to Rainbow University. He'll get some bullshit degree that he'll then pay thousands of dollars for, and then ends up on the street anyway,
but
with a giant debt. But ER, in his quotation there, the explanation of the claim that he had there, that is a good summary that a 5-year-old could understand.
And you could water it down to even more basic logic to make it even clearer. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, he can't grasp, he won't bother to address ER. He'll just say it's wrong, and say current people. Like right now, what he just did was current people or information about trans movements. People saying this is what it's like, therefore it's wrong. It's like some guy made up a new sex or new gender for you to argue away. That's your, like, what would they say in their imagination that's new that we haven't heard yet, that is changing the way we look at trans or the trans movement, which is not the same as trans people. These are two different things, and we're always trying to.
Most genderless folks reject the trans movement.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to make that clear distinction.
And if we could, these activists, they basically stole the tea from us, and now we understand why the LGB wants to cut off the tea, because that's not even for us.
Don't steal the tea.
It's just completely corrupt madness.
That's not good.
And the Q is a sinister invention in the first place.
All right, let's.
I remember the one thing the scholar who's good in everything. The German term for that was Universalgelehrter, which is universal scholar, and that is something that in the 17th century you could still be, but it's not something you can still be today because there's simply too much knowledge, too many fields of knowledge.
If you're talking about the Enlightenment period, you would be called a scholar and a gentleman because you just went to the university and you learned whatever the professor had.
But you could. There was a limited enough amount of knowledge that you could learn it all that was available. But today, there's just so much more. I couldn't put it in numbers.
Okay. Anyway,
that's why it doesn't work.
Let's get back to what he changed the color again on the map or the whatever.
It's just headache inducing. I don't know why these people are obsessed with pain inducing colors.
Yeah, well. Okay.
I think it's a good sign for the immaturity and derangement.
Not fond of the symbol fucking staticking. That looks just what the fuck's happening there?
Yeah, what is that?
It's cutting off the female part.
Oh. Anyway.
Brain in a female body for simplicity's sake. What happened to...
That's not what... You say simplicity's sake, but really that's not at all what's... The dysphoric brain is all over the place. Some areas are more like the opposite sex, yes. But some areas are even more pronounced than they are in your biological sex. That means further away from the other sex. The dysphoric brain has not at all anything to do with the idea of a female brain in a male body. That was a nice idea for a while to simplify the thought, but it's really not what's going on. And it not being that way also explains a lot more of the troubles that real gender dysphorics are going through. It's just a mess.
Right. Okay.
And that needs to be addressed. It's a medical issue. And this is why I say this condition is easily diagnosable through a brain scan. But all these SJWs, all these Transhausens, they reject the idea of a hard diagnostic tool like a brain scan because they know they're fake. They know it. That's why they reject it, and that's why they insist on trans identity. I just today a tweet went by me that basically said the same thing about ADHD, where someone with ADHD complained about a news article. The headline read something like, we need to talk. ADHD has become more than a medical condition. It is now an identity. We need to talk about that.
I'm going to put my fists. What? No, ADHD is fucking. Oh my god.
It's shit. It's shit to have that, even if you don't have the age. It's not great. It's an obstacle. It is a disability for a reason. Because it makes life more difficult. It puts obstacles in your way. The handicapped is therefore a good term for things like this. The same goes for autism. Autism has some positive aspects, as does ADHD in some parts, but it comes with so many detriments that you cannot call it a blessing at all. And anyone who wants to have these problems, because you will get the problems with the blessing, anyone who wants that is more insane than any of us with any of these conditions could ever be, including real gender dysphoria. If you want a medical condition, you are beyond help. And that person responding to the tweet also said, my medical problem is not a costume for you to wear. Which is the exact thing that I've been saying for 5 to 10 years now about gender dysphoria. They will go for everything. They will go for every medical condition out there and try to turn it into an identity.
And make me look like a fucking loony with these people.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my god! It fucking. It was the ADHD that caused me to fucking spaz out and do this weird shit. You know. It totally isn't something else.
They try to make the same with autism. Like, I identify as autism. Yeah, but you are not. And you know this rage that you're feeling right now. That's what I've been going through for the past decade or so with these assholes. And I think only when these people start going for the more common medical problems, then people will get really riled up and begin to understand what they did to us and the intersex people. Because nobody fucking knows anything about intersex conditions because they're so fucking rare. But they do know about ADHD. They do know about depression and other things.
All right.
We'll see. We'll see where this goes.
Let us continue.
He was born male, assumably would have been a regular cis kid, but instead he was raised in a female body and socialization. So even if he never lived life...
He was not raised in a female body. His body was still male. It was mutilated. Mutilating a male body does not make it female. Man, wouldn't it be easy if the opposite was true?
Male, his biology was still male. He was now a male brain in a female body. And despite not knowing...
No! Oh god. You are so dumb that I must honestly ask, why does idiocy not hurt? But you know what? Being dumb does hurt. It hurts those around the dumb person.
It's not a male brain in a female body. It's just a male brain, even more broken male body.
It's a male brain in a broken male body. It's not a female... Reimer did not have a female body, you bloody idiot. Where do you get that from? Do you even know what female biology is? You rejected the ideas about biology, probably because you don't even know what biology even is. What makes a body male or female? A castration doesn't make you the other sex. It makes you castrated.
Is there a spot in the like top middle part of the screen? Is that my screen or is that the YouTube?
No, he has dirt on his thing.
As I'm like rubbing my screen, is like that can't be right.
No.
You're doing that too.
He's trolling you, Smut. He's trolling you. He had a bigger splotch on the top left before.
Okay, I was
This is
like,
part of his whole thing. This is the. I'm telling you, these people are obsessed with disease and dirt and defilement, and it presents itself probably without his conscious knowledge. He just likes the aesthetic of it, but it presents itself in how he presents his presentation in this whole Nurgle defilement.
Smudge just let me get the smudge out of the way. Accidentally scratches half of the screen up.
It's like that. It's like that GIF with the background color that has a fly walk over your screen.
oh God, why am I paying attention to this silly scrap? Anyway, let's keep going.
Knowing? Male cis brain gave him body dysphoria about his
Body dysphoria. What the
fuck
is
is
that
body
now?
dysphoria? Does anyone know what body dysphoria is?
He made up that term. You have gender dysphoria, you have body dysmorphia, and some other things, but body dysphoria is not a thing, as far as I know. They keep renaming everything every 2 weeks, so maybe I'm wrong at this point, or when you're watching this 2 years from now. But it's just
If they could make up new genders, they could probably make up new symptoms. So call it whatever they like.
Reimer did not have gender dysphoria in any way. He was mutilated. His problem was that he was forced into behavior that was against himself. If you had seen the documentary, the interview with Reimer, the mutilated boy was forced to wear dresses, to play with dolls, and so on, and he was always miserable. And his brother said that his mutilated brother, the only moments when he was happy, moments, very short times, was when he let him play with his male toys, like the trucks and cars and such stuff. Because that's what that's who he really was. He was a boy. He was still a boy.
All right, here's the Giga
Dressing, forcing someone into dresses does not change his sex. Cross-dressing is not trans. Cross-dressing is a fetish, and they forced the kid to cross-dress and to behave like a girl when he wasn't a girl, and he didn't like to behave that way. He was not a sissy boy.
All right, here's the Giga Chat. Thank you, sir, for the one. I remember when people got really mad at Alice Cooper because he called kids transitioning a trend and a dangerous fad. He was right. Also, the last time surgery was used to treat mental disorders was with lobotomies. There was a big money in it. Too strange. Well, there's other things that we treat, various kinds of, what's the term? Cutting the corpus callosum in half for people who have aneurysms. That's a effective treatment that we've been doing for a few decades. There are a few other brain operations.
It's not lobotomy.
Well, the lobotomy was a thing. That's true.
Yeah, but it's not. You cannot put that on the same thing.
Well, it's still brain surgery. It's still something you're doing.
It is still brain surgery, but it is not just mutilating you into being a potato.
No, I'm not saying.
Just because you are depressed. Let's lobotomize you. Then you will be happy forever.
But aneurysms are certainly a neurological problem, and that is one way to treat them. But yeah, there's other treatments as well. I'm just not familiar with all the conditions. But that was certainly lobotomies were certainly a very scary part of medical history.
Yeah, and if you are looking for a comparison for mutilating or castrating the mentally ill, you need to look no further than the Nazis, because that's what they were doing. They were just openly doing. They were just honestly doing it. Nazis were pretty honest about most of the things that they did. That is mainly I think that's the main difference between the right-wing leftists and the left-wing leftists, because the Nazis are still in the left square. They're just on the right side of the left square. So they're just honest about their vile shit, and the others are obfuscating and lying about it.
Let's not get into war crimes with the Japanese. Like, that's just a whole other issue we're not going to talk about. So
the Japanese weren't castrating the mentally ill, were they?
There's a thing called Unit 731. They did a whole.
That's a whole different story. That's a whole different topic that has nothing to do. That was pretty horrible. But if you want to mention that ever. If you want to be upset about it, be upset about it. But don't forget that all the Asians, the Chinese, Koreans, the Japanese, all did to each other across thousands of years, all of these things in a circle. These were just two recent ones.
All right. 14 minutes, 4 left, go.
Could trans your kids, or you could create more trans people through socialization, then we would have expected John Money to have been right. But he wasn't. He substantiated by...
Well, wait a second here. Isn't there an increase by 20%?
Then why are we pushing transitioning kids on kids?
What was I can't remember the percentage. I think it was around 20% in the past 3 years for people coming out as trans in America.
In Australia, you had I think it was in 2016. You had a sudden influx of 300% in self-reports of being trans in pre-puberty, in like third graders.
Right. So something is
and they said when the doctors asked them why, they said, "Oh, it's what the other kids are doing in class." They said it then, and it's true now. It's the current fashion. You're being rewarded for being trans or gay or anything. And I think the wildest thing I've heard recently was about a case where a mother was completely distraught when her child was driving in a car, I think to the school or from the school, and her son asked her, "Mom, would you be upset with me if I told you I'm not gay?"
Yeah, I'm looking at it's
completely inverted.
It's
completely inverted.
The UCLA Williams Institute School of Law, from a June 2022 report, says that 1.6 million people ages 18 plus identify as transgender in the U.S.
How many percent?
It's not a percent. 1.6 million.
1.6 million.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
And 300,000 of those are youth. So twice as many as the year before, which is weird. Anyway, something's going on. Let's keep going.
Yeah, something is going on. You should also look into the ethnicities.
If you put a male brain in a female body and socialize them as women, they will reject the concept and be unlikely to ever accept it. This is what we see with trans people. They feel the same way.
Wait. I'm not. I don't have enough caffeine. I need to hear this again.
Female body and socialize them as women, they would have expected John Money to have been right. But he wasn't. He substantiated by total accident that if you put a male brain in a female body and socialize them as women...
How do you do that?
Female body and socialize as women.
How do you
do
There's
this?
no female body. There's no female body involved with Reimer.
How do you do this fucking Dr. Frankenstein bullshit without killing the kid?
And if you're able to make these slides here, couldn't you, for something that is quite confusing to follow, couldn't you put up the images of what you're actually explaining right now? So you're describing, by your very, 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 what's the word? Reductive.
Yeah. So
reductive explanations, definitions.
The symbol
you're describing, you would be describing just a gender dysphoric female,
right? And he's making this confusing because he's just showing the symbol for male and female. So I'm assuming the symbol for female is the mind, but he's saying
it's just not.
It's
nothing. It's nothing. He just left it there for no reason. The slide has nothing to do with what he's talking about right now.
Okay, because he was moving it around. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Women, they concept.
Why aren't you saying she? Oh, he. Why do you say they? Don't you have a concept of what that person actually is now? Is if you're trans, is it can't you tell what the person is anymore?
I guess the person.
Is it, do you understand gender dysphoria so little, you fucking fuckwit?
Accept it. This is what we see with trans people. They feel the same way that David did, in simple terms.
You disgusting piece of shit.
He
He actually went there. He went there to use Reimer as a justification instead of the proof that money was wrong. He uses the victim as the justification for what is going on politically right now.
And he's implying that all these people in the trans movement are one of these little boys. They're mutilated, sexually.
He's just no. He's just trying to say that they have the wrong brain in their body. So you are agreeing with ER after all that the brain is biological and therefore informs your mental state, meaning your gender. So you agree with ER. You fucking idiot.
This is kind of counter to when we talk about homosexual men or women. They know they're men or they know they're women, and they know they're attracted to the same sex, and they're not they're not like grossed out or weird about it. They say, this is just what I like. This is completely normal for me. And that's
some don't like it to be true because they rather want normal lives, which they can't have.
Yeah, it depends on how accepting they are. Yeah, it depends on how accepting they are.
It's not about how accepted. No. It has nothing to do with how accepted they are.
No. How they are accepting of themselves. Like if you say, I love chocolate, even though it's bad for me.
No, wrong, no smart, no. It is about, imagine you are homosexual, and the thing that you want most in life is a family. A real family with your own children. With the children being a product of you and your loved one. Does that work when you are homosexual?
It can.
No.
You can't adopt kids?
That's not your children.
Oh, so you want to have a biological child.
Yes.
And you want a same-sex partner.
With your children, with your loved one, because the biological union represented by your child that you have with your partner is that is a demonstration of your love for each other.
Sure.
That is when you raise orphans, you raise them like your own.
Yes.
They are not your own, but you raise them like your own.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
That's not, yeah. But this is, people need to understand that there is a difference. And that is very sad to hear probably for orphans. And there are people who want to reject this idea that because they love the adopted children a hell of a lot. But there are many people who understand there is a difference, just like there is a difference between you feel that you have a favorite child among your football team, but a good parent doesn't show that.
Well,
even though you feel that.
It's the same with heterosexual couples who can't have kids. They adopt anyway, and they treat them like they're their own. That's fine.
Yeah, but that is a crutch. The thing is, when you realize you are homosexual, you understand immediately. You can never have that truly, or you would have to deceive someone of the other sex, which is what some homosexuals do.
Well, there are surrogates. There are surrogate women who will bear a child from a other
yes,
male.
But that is still not your biological child with your partner.
Right.
That is the thing. The physical representation of your emotional bond.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's based off your acceptance of this reality that yes, you like people of the same sex, and if I do want a family, these are my options to do so. Right. That is the level of acceptance you need to have and be mature about. Saying, okay, how do I get there? If this is what I really want, and does my partner want that too? And could we build a family together like that? It's accepting.
Today we can have some weird workarounds around that.
Yeah, but
the thing is
fine.
Is with yes, but they are still workarounds. They are not the real thing. They are workarounds, and so you're accepting compromises, and these are things that no human wants to go through or wants to have to be reduced to. Like, oh, it's the best I can get. With these fundamental things, and the thing is with gender dysphoria, this gets even more jumbled up, even more complicated.
Well, I think that's how we approach most things in life as, well, I can't get what I want, but I'll get what I need to get by or to do the job that I've been given. And if
with jobs that is one thing, but we're talking about the basic core things that a human is all about.
Sure, but
that is what makes it. That is what puts it on a whole nother level than your bloody job or your income or what size your apartment is. So that material bullshit. No, these are absolutely fundamentals that any religious person would put at the core of your soul.
Well, if you're talking about going to a medical operation or any kind of group that would do the operation you require for, not even medical, it could be anything, to get kids or be inseminated or increase your ability to have children, it doesn't really matter. Like, you would go somewhere, and if it's not in the area where you live, you would go somewhere else to get that service. So it doesn't really matter if it's biological or it's surrogate or whatever. You're going to do the thing.
Do you see children only as products?
No, I'm saying if you want to have a certain life or lifestyle, you have to get that in whatever manner that you can achieve it. So
having children is not born out of the wish for a lifestyle. People who see children as a lifestyle choice are very deranged people. They're usually narcissists who just see them as tools for their own fulfillment or as extensions of.
If I want to be a parent,
that's a very different thing.
By virtue of, I think it's going to make me happier, or whatever the utilitarian view would be. I don't know what that would be. Like, I think it's better for the community, for my partner, whatever. And I can't conceive, then what do I do?
It's not a question about utilitarianism.
Why not?
It's a question of love. It's something that's beyond the material.
Yeah, but you still have to get there, right? You still have to achieve that functional...
That's what I'm saying. It's workarounds, but workarounds are not the same as the real thing.
Yeah, but what if you can't...
what things should be.
It doesn't matter if it's...
But when you're reduced to workarounds, it is a burden on yourself.
Yeah, sure. It's hard. We get it. But that's what people deal with if they can't conceive, or if they're homosexual, or whatever the case may be. They're single. They just want kids, and they're okay. Fine, I'll adopt.
Yeah, and some can't deal with it, and they kill themselves.
Okay,
because they realize this is a shitty existence. I am sick of this shit.
Okay, but
and that's why those people also tend to reject the idea of God, because if God made me perfect, then why'd he fuck up this part?
Okay, but for by virtue of just wanting kids, it doesn't matter if you're homosexual or not, or can't conceive, or you're single or whatever. You have to facilitate that solution somehow. You want an heir, you want someone to pass on your knowledge, whatever the case may be. So there's avenues for that, and accepting that, saying, "Oh, this is what I have to do to get this outcome." You go, okay, and if it's not around you, you have to go get it. You have to go out of the country or wherever. And that's fine. That's the mature way of looking at what am I going to do with my problem, or where's my...
I think you're mixing up mature with just detached, emotionless problem solving.
No. I think it's when a homosexual man says...
Because some people will not go for the lesser imitation option. Because they see that this is not the real thing. This is an imitation of the thing I want, and I don't want to do that to a child. I have so much empathy that I do not want to burden a child with this type of family where we are not even the real parents, and have to go through a childhood that is nothing like a normal childhood. Well, all just because I want to tell myself that I have a kid.
Well, whatever the reason is for the parents, they are saying, whether it's a 5-year-old or an infant, they want to have a family, and if that's the way they can get it, and that's the way they do it, they will do it if they believe in the family or wanting a family that strongly. So I don't see how that's.
It depends on what family they want.
They want a child.
There are homosexuals out there who do want children, but they reject doing this because they see it as wrong.
Yeah, sure, but that's some people. That's great, and others who do still say, "I want kids. I want to raise them. I want to take them out. I want to have a great life, growing older with them, or whatever the case is." That's a good thing. That's a good thing to go to an orphanage or go to wherever the delivery part of a hospital.
If they're actually good people, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this is the mature way, that this is the ideal of a person saying, okay, I am not a heterosexual. I am this kind of person. And if I accept that, and I accept all the other problems that come with it, society accepting me, whatever, and you accept yourself as what it is, it's not a big deal. It's not this crusade to go.
And you accept what the child is going to go through?
Sorry?
And you accept what the child is going to go through because of your choice?
By virtue of that child getting a parent, they are better off with any loving family than to not have one, than to not have any parent at all. Now, you could argue, well, the parent they might get is horrible. You never know what you're going to get. It's like, well, there's lots of kids out there that don't have anything.
Yeah, so this is all on the premise that there is no abuse going on in this, and that there is a lot of it going on. But this is all on the premise that the option for the children is being without parent or good parents.
Well, that's the belief of any parent. They want to do right by their kid. Obviously, they want to love their kid properly, and sometimes they're not going to do a very good job at it. That's true.
Are you aware of the excessive amount of child abuse in the orphan system?
Well, even then, if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to get those kids out of there with a parent?
Smart. Kids are actively funneled to pedophiles.
Okay.
We've had a case in Berlin where that went on for decades, into the 2000s. With a judge involved who signed it all off. That's why I explicitly said, like, excluding that happening.
Right.
Because we can't really talk about this whole idea without that happening. And this is one of the big examples of pedophiles hiding behind the homosexuals and pushing homosexuals being allowed to adopt children so that the pedophiles can claim to be homosexuals and thus get access to children.
Well,
because that's already been happening under wraps for decades.
Okay, but let's suppose that not every homosexual is a pedophile. Okay.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I say there are pedophiles who hide behind the homosexuals as a shield, just like they are hiding behind the few real gender dysphorics as a shield. Same thing.
All right. Good
Let's move forward.
Yeah, we got 4 minutes and a half, or 3 minutes and a half left. Let's keep going.
It didn't get this way from child surgery misplacing them, but a society and political faction attempting to limit the healthcare that would otherwise allow their body's physiology to align with their brains.
What?
The fact that he thinks this in any way is even approaching an argument about gender shows an embarrassing lack of even the most basic ideas on the subject. And shows
projection. It's not about ideas, it's about science. And the science says you are wrong. The science says we wait out until puberty is over because in over 80% of children with these trans symptoms, with gender dysphoric symptoms. So we don't know if it's the actual condition or if it's just LARPing or craving for attention, whatever. But symptoms that over 80%, that means 4 out of 5, stop. It goes away naturally. And that was before this thing became a fashion. What do you think the stats would look now? Where we have kids who were talked into being trans, and as Mike mentioned before, are now detransitioning, if they can even, because there are lasting damages from that, including, well, often an inability to ever conceive.
To media or science or anything about the natural world, his ideology will always supersede factual information.
What ideology?
Projection.
When his own point is...
You are ideologically possessed. You know shit. You know jack shit.
Disproving what he's trying to say. And their very innocuous statement of wanting to tear down and play with the semiotics.
What is innocuous about that? You want to confuse children just like John Money children, because you have this mad idea. You want to do sex play with children. You have watched Steven Universe? You say with all the sexual innuendo.
I'm curious. What is the ideology of people who reject the trans movement? What is that exactly?
Yeah. What is your ideology?
Exactly.
What is your ideology in pushing this, in finding this okay, in pushing John Money while also saying he...
Yeah, it's like ER is just criticizing this as a joke because it is, and it's wrong, and we shouldn't have it. It should not be present, and we should not be influenced by it in the way that we are with pronouns and these weird shows that are fundamentally not that entertaining and filled with politics. And he's just, I guess that's not an ideology. That's just a criticism, which is fine. And he puts it in a very entertaining way. And the only reason that video got taken down was because he had 4 minutes of Hitler speech at the end.
I think his claim of ER's ideology is that ER's ideology is rejecting his gender ideology. That's the ideology. It's the anti-ideology.
The anti to my ideology is an ideology. That's great.
For children, with the general ideas of gender. So, boy like truck, girl like...
Why do you want to confuse the
Rebecca
children?
wants to break down those barriers. And
why?
Now they're being...
Why? That is the very thing that the money experiments showed don't work. They do not work. Yet you are pushing them now as innocuous. It drove 2 children, well, later adults, it drove them to suicide. And you think, it's totally innocuous. You fucking disgusting communist asshole. You child abuser.
This is the John Money argument. He's saying, Rebecca Sugar's doing it this way. It's different because she's talking about trucks. It's like, but that's exactly what John Money was doing. The argument...
You don't know anything about the science behind this, how children play with these things.
He should have said...
That's already in their brain. You don't need to tear anything down. And his excuses, because the John Money experiments didn't work, we can just... Nobody's going to abuse the children and going to try this because it doesn't work, so we can keep doing it to the children.
This is no different than, true communism was never tried. We're going to do it better our way because we're using trucks as opposed to whatever John Money was doing. When he really should have said, no. Well, what he really should have said was, it's a nature argument, not a nurture argument, and John Money was wrong on the nurture. And you're like, okay. If you say so, how do you know that? Just explain what makes it wrong and how you're right. It's pretty obvious. But even his analysis with the John Money, all gender is material, and then the second statement being some gender is material. You're like, okay, that's not complete opposite. So where is he going with saying Rebecca is correct, but Money is wrong, demonstrably wrong? I'm curious how he came to that conclusion.
A handful of people have responded to my last 2 videos, but mainly just people quote retweeting on Twitter of why I'm still hung up on these videos. I first watched Steven Universe less than a year ago, and I didn't watch it primarily because of these videos that I've been covering. I lightheartedly made fun of the show for years, and I believed many of the lies in the videos about the creators. Ignorantly so. Why does it...
Which lies? Like Rebecca Sugar making pedophile cartoons about Ed, Ed, and Eddie? Have you seen them?
Does it not make sense to debunk videos that quite literally get parroted by openly bigoted brainlets to this day?
What?
I think you're projecting again.
What's with the name calling? ER had a whole tangent about it in his Steven Universe rant video. Yeah, he did. Who the fuck is Lily Orchard? That's great.
That's a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
Was she blacklisted?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. I don't know. My memory of that was like, whoa.
I think we covered some of that self-insert fan fiction.
Yeah. Oh god. I think I remember that.
Oh god. Yeah.
Steven Universe fans, and as recent as a week or less ago, people are still repeating the lies popularized in these videos. It's embarrassing. I mean, if people are allowed to unabashedly lie through their teeth for 8...
So all those people were lying to you? Really? Okay.
I think he's projecting again.
This is a very... When I argue with someone, I don't think they actually believe what they're telling me. I don't think they're lying to me for the sake of it.
Yeah, I have lost that benefit of the doubt years ago after dealing with too many of these types. I can't tell anymore whether they're just truly ignorant and don't know any better or are actively lying because they do know better.
They want attention. They want me to argue with them for no reason. Okay.
No, they just want you to submit to their position. They don't care whether they're right or wrong. They just want you to agree with them.
That's a very childish way of looking at arguments.
Yeah, smart. Socialism is a childish ideology. In the end, at the core of it is the belief that communism will happen, and therefore only communists must be alive. That if everyone's a communist and we LARP communism long enough, then suddenly magically it will happen for real. Because when we all collectively think a certain way, then the material world will change. They basically believe humans are Warhammer orcs.
What?
Yeah, they believe if we all think hard enough that things are a certain way, then those things change in reality.
Oh, okay.
Like if we thought all hard enough that 2 + 2 is 5, then 2 + 2 becomes 5. That is the true belief of socialism.
Oh, all right. That's Bishop Berkeley, SAS Persepi. Yeah, that was disproven hundreds of years ago.
Of course it was disproven, because it's madness.
Okay.
It's magical madness. It's occult nonsense. It's esoteric horoscope shit. Well, the horoscope shit has probably more substance than any of the stuff socialism believes.
All right.
Relenting, why can't a single video exist setting the record straight? Why is it
For what?
cope to have one person come out and go, hey, they're actually saying wrong, incorrect things. You can prove they're wrong.
Such
they're
as?
just lying.
Such as?
And then those people will be like, oh, you haven't let it go yet?
What the hell was
doesn't
that?
make any
Wait. What the hell was that pose here?
Actually saying wrong, incorrect things. You can prove they're wrong. They're just lying.
What is that pose?
Yeah, he's twisting his spine.
Twerking out the ass of the little child thing.
This girl can fly.
In anger.
She
anger. No, not the sapphire one, the ruby one.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying the girl can fly as well.
Yeah, of course.
No, that's not
And
flying.
then
She's
those
on
people
puppet
will be like,
strings.
Oh.
Call that flying? That's no.
I have no idea what this show is about. I don't care.
The show is about weird sexual innuendo.
Yeah, I don't pay
Nothing happening, and then something will happen occasionally.
Yeah. This feels like
And then we hug.
feels like a cartoon scenario in like a Seinfeld episode. They're in a freaking hotel room and flipping out. Anyway.
These two, the red one and the blue one, are actually the Afro woman, because they're constantly, when they're on good terms with each other, they're constantly magically combined. So they're basically in constant orgasm while they are the Afro woman. That's a fusion.
Okay.
So, but it turns out that the parts of the Afro woman are 2 children. Totally not sexual.
Haven't yet.
That doesn't make any sense. It's time to let it go and move on, but they're fronting because they don't want the discourse to evolve. They don't want people to have a loud enough voice that
Wait, did that frame just miss? Wait, look here, the ruby one is in the bottom left corner.
acts like it's time to let it go and move on, but they're
Now it's gone, but already moved out. Did he cut this up out of chronological order?
Who knows?
They don't want the discourse to evolve.
Because now he's standing there.
Oh no,
it's fucking he cut this in. He cut this out of order. What is wrong with you?
They don't want people to have a loud enough voice that actually dispels the lies that these videos have spread. The biggest of the lies, in my opinion, of course, being the transphobic stuff that I reiterated and
If anyone is transphobic, it's you, because you are phobic about the scientific reality of gender dysphoria and what real trans people are. You want only the pseudoscientific socialist biological sex transcendence to be true, which claims to be trans but isn't. The only one phobic here is you.
here that is virtually nothing to even do with the show anyways. But if you enjoyed that
Wait, I thought it was all about breaking down gender norms and the whole sex thing. And now it's not? I'm confused.
I feel bad for the motel.
What did you say?
I feel bad for the motel that was in this episode because so many people were prank calling, going, "Hey, do you have sapphire in your pool or in your rooms? Do you have rubies heating up the pool?" It's like, Jesus Christ, leave them alone. They just want to run their motel, and you're fucking calling them about Steven Goddamn Universe. Stop the call.
There might also be other people who just want to sleep.
Okay.
the more thorough breakdown of the other 2 much longer videos in defense of Steven Universe, and Lily Orchard was wrong, and here's why.
So Lily Orchard is wrong? Like, what is this guy doing? Is he just...
I've seen the... I recall seeing the fucking video for Lily Orchard's thing. Lily gets a wee violent near the end. It's with a particular episode from the show.
Is that 3
Mainly
hours?
the one where that is actually... Wait.
Sorry.
No, it's probably like... Yeah, no, it's probably 3 hours.
It says 3 hours. Hard work. No question. And if Lily Orchard is wrong about something, probably.
Yeah, but this is
I'm not going to watch it, though.
This is a fanboy saying his fandom and his understanding of the fandom is greater than Lily Orchard's.
Lily Orchard was the one that basically said, yes, you should kill someone you disagree with. And it's like, Jesus, Lily.
Lily Orchard is a psychopath. He's a psychopath, narcissist who claims to be trans. We will never know whether that is true, because those personality disorders are what's the English term? Reasons for a differential diagnosis to rule out gender dysphoria. Because you cannot tell anymore, unless we did a brain scan. Wouldn't you want that? A brain scan to be sure that you actually are the thing you claim to be? Wouldn't you rather that you're not that and you have another problem that is easier solvable?
Well,
just a thought.
Again, the argument should have been it's nature, it's not nurture, and he just sort of no, it's our nurture. Our nurture is better than John Money's. And you're like, oh.
Well, while it is John Money's nurture.
Yeah.
Great.
First video, I systematically debunk everything else the ER claims in his...
Everything and everything else. That's great. You're so smart.
If you do it like this video, you didn't do anything.
You did.
Ramble. Where's my beer?
I made a list of things. I forgot to enumerate them, and then I just rambled for 3 hours. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something to take pride in. Without growth, you aren't human. If you want to support my work...
What?
If what?
What is this fucking PSA bullshit? Well, you might as well be blaring Twin Peaks opening up.
Without growth, you are still human. You're just retarded.
It's not too late.
Because that is what retarded means. Inhibited in your development. But you are still human.
How do I not grow?
You just. What is it? You're just shamed everybody with a mental disorder who's mentally disabled.
Well. Oh well. Yeah, we can't grow because we're not very human, guys. So, darn.
Are we human?
Why is the end of all this nonsense? Here's a little anecdote.
Always a PSA video.
Answers.
There's a little wisdom about, when you look into the sky, you will see the reflection in your future. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because when a juvenile retard tries to pretend he's wise.
Yeah, well.
He thinks he has grown to the point where he can talk about these things. It's cute.
By defending Steven Universe.
It's like little pups pretending to be big wolves.
I'm gonna share wisdom from a cartoon by defending it from the big bad evil ER.
Mm-hmm.
Who made a 30-minute video where he joked around how dumb this show is. Ooh, boy, you really showed him.
You're too bad at watching Vinland Saga.
Consider supporting me on Patreon.
No.
Super time donation on Ko-Fi. This is definitely the most harassment and drama that I've ever been involved in, but I really think that this is important.
That's your fault.
I'll see you soon.
What the fuck? Why would you show that?
And he's got Persona music in the background.
So many useful idiots. Oh god. Oh god, there's even more. That was horrible. That was dumb.
No, you know what? Maybe the bag on the face is too much work. No. Try 50 feet and plastic bag. Yes, that will do.
All right, let's get to some stream memes.
I feel like I lost brain cells.
If we have any, I don't even know if we have stream memes, do we?
We had one time that we didn't look at.
All right, well, this is just a continuation of craziness from last week. So here we go. 2013. Disciplined and mysterious leader, overly dramatic mom type, cool big sister, rebellious teen character, naive, optimistic young boy main character, and then 4 years later, they're all gay.
But the funnier thing is just all three of them are gay, and then Steven's just straight. Oh, so he's normal. Oh, thank goodness.
Really, Pearl is an Oedipal narcissist who is super controlling. The amethyst fat girl that is a black stereotype has borderline personality disorder, and Afro girl is basically the detached, neglectful mother. So it's free abusive mothers basically.
So here we have Steven Universe was the first same-sex wedding in cartoon history.
Meanwhile, for a gag in Gravity Falls, Stan getting married to one of his little shitty.
That gag happened quite often.
How
you could probably argue that it was the first actually meant one.
How do you classify the people in Steven Universe getting married? Are they female? What are they?
Allegedly, they have no gender, but somehow they are all women.
Oh.
At the same time.
Whatever that means.
So, yeah.
Look at that. Connie, my healing powers have been completely developed. I can heal you from your illness now. Okay, here I go. Oh.
Wasn't she Asian in the beginning? And then they made her black?
Something Indian, or whatever the fuck.
She kills this guy later for the bow tie and puts him in a watery grave. She kills someone?
What did the little alien thing do? A little toy do? Vader Zim is better than this character, though.
Bad guy does bad things. Steven Universe, blah, 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 blah. And Batman...
beats the shit out of it. I mean, he talks a little. And then the fighting starts.
I think he's punching. I don't know. It's just an arm. Like, what is that? Okay. Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
Oh, God.
What is this? I don't know.
Steven, 110 countries simply cannot all be wrong. They must have deserved it at least once.
Oh, my God. Lapis. Italian.
The reference is to Rebecca Sugar being Jewish.
Italian laughs. Am I missing something? I don't get it.
Oh, she's a psychopath. Or, well, a very deranged sociopath, rather.
Help, I'm retarded and I can't shut up. Not on my watch. Someone is chucking a Christmas tree out the window. All right. ER is so wrong, he doesn't even formulate the question correctly. Sure, faggot, let's get you to bed. Yeah, when your argument is, I can't even understand what he's saying, and it's cleanly spelled out in proper grammar in 2 sentences on the screen that you have typed out, who has the problem? You're a child, no you, the end. Okay.
And then they hugged.
Today on the Jeremy Kyle show, I don't even know what that is. Help, my son is my ex-wife, Steven Universe. What?
That is factually true.
Chat.
Steven is his mother, which means that he is the ex-wife of his father. It is factually true.
So something was wrong with chat. We got a screen cap from.
Oh no! Hold on. Let me read this one. No. Let me catch up. Give me a moment. Oh, here comes Sean Money. Says JJ Madness, Jameson. So why use the terms then if you're disavowing? And then Chaplain Crabtree. Imagine if Quentin Reviews was Asian and was named Squintin Reviews. Hellas Day Thing. I feckin' hate Trump. Tlump.
I don't know.
Okay. Whoa.
I mean, the squinting part, it's kind of funny.
We both made a lot of mistakes when we were young. I thought Disco was coming back. She started a war?
What did Disco do?
This is millennial humor, like putting these completely uncomparable things next to each other, and haha, that's fun. The joke works once in your life, maybe.
Well, what did Disco ever do? I don't recall the war part. Leave Disco alone.
Here's another one. I was the second shooter on the grassy knoll. She orchestrated 9/11? What?
I'm okay. That one.
Totally comparable.
I will fight because I am gay. I will fight because I too am gay. I freaking live here? What?
I don't know.
I am lost.
I'd rather take the bottom response
the one
over
thing
the other two.
I love about conservative women is you never have to ask, is that a woman?
Usually.
Okay, that's an interesting gun. I've never seen that design before. 2012, I'm gay, I don't care. Yay, society accepts me. 2022, I'm trans, I don't care. You transphobic piece of shit.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, it's the same with the gay now. It's all this.
LGBTQ, man was here. How can you tell? Man-child cartoons. The Legend of Korra is a man-child cartoon.
Fucking even when I was
Yes, definitely.
even when I was a kid, I didn't like fucking Korra. Can't even convince me today.
Yeah. I did watch the whole thing as it came out, and as it kept going, it just made my head turn to the side and kept wondering, something is very wrong here.
Fundamentally Transferring America, B. Obama. There's a microaggressive, white privileged homophobe in my safe space. There's a 40-year-old man wearing a dress in the girls' restroom.
That's where we are. 20 years ago, you would not have believed this to be remotely realistic.
Pearl has the unique ability to make women's clothing disappear simply by approaching them. A powerful lesbian skill indeed. Huh?
Oh, because of the fucking animation error.
One of many.
Body dysmorphia, but awesome.
Body dysmorphia is an actual hallucination.
I see myself as a cat girl. All right.
Yeah, but in body dysmorphia, you really hallucinate looking completely different in the mirror.
Oh, so you're psychotic. Okay.
I don't know if psychotic is the right term there, but it is as much a hallucination as anorexia.
Well, hallucination is one symptom of psychosis. So, yeah. I have Turner syndrome and Stevani being confirmed to be intersex made me so emotional. It's an intersection of gender and sex that often gets overlooked.
No, it's not.
Turner syndrome?
Turner syndrome, XXY. I think that's it's either X0 or XXY.
Also, the fact that ER is so dumb that he called Peridot a man repeatedly and basically decides to transvestigate. What?
Transvestigate is a funny word because you can interpret it.
Stealing that.
Transvestigate cartoon characters in a fictional show makes it disturbing that so many people took that video seriously. What? What is he talking about? What is transvestigate?
He's trying to trans the Steven Universe show, although Rebecca Sugar is the one who's making a pseudo-trans bullshit cartoon for man-children that she's pushing on children.
As a biologist, this may be the best description of sex and gender that I've ever heard in a YouTube video. Thank you. You're doing good work.
You are not a biologist. You're lying.
Did that come from this video?
That is not a biologist. That cannot
If
be.
anyone who's scientific and actually paid attention to that video, I don't think you'd be giving it props.
I don't think this guy knows what biology even is.
Anyway, I just missed a bunch of super chats. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm glad we're done the video. I'm still sort of like, what is he trying to say? Like, I'm still like in that mode of confusion. Anyway, let's read the super chats. JJJ Manis, thank you, sir. The sad thing is that even Lily thought Steven fusing with Connie was creepy and wrong, even pointing out how horrible Steven's mom was. I don't think the YouTuber was criticizing fusion at all. He even mentioned it. So he was trying.
Oh, he can't. He can't because then the whole debacle about it being all sexual and pedophilic would come out.
Well, he was attempting to criticize at least one thing that ER said. So that just took a while to get to. This guy, if he just had coherent thoughts that were cogent, and okay, I see what you're getting at, and you're referencing him, and this is the argument, and you stuck to the point, then we can go, oh, that's what he's trying to say. But he's just rambling with this bizarre background. Frog Jupiter for the $4.99. Thank you, sir. When I was in high school, I knew a kid who believed in blank slate theory, okay, tabula rasa, I guess, and that there was no natural difference in the sexes. I asked him about if there, and you continue with the second one, are no differences, then why do people with dysphoria have MRI scans that are closer to the other sex? He said that it was sexist pseudoscience. An MRI is pseudoscience?
And
natural differences in the sexes. The sexes, the two sexes. The gametes, the sperm and the eggs. That is somehow not a difference.
The fucking machine that tells you what's wrong with your head. That sexist, the thing that actually knows what's fucking wrong with you.
Well, I'm assuming.
But no, it's just not functioning.
I'm assuming
that kid in your high school was brainwashed.
Yeah, I'm assuming if you do an MRI, it's a full body scan. It's not just your upper body, but I don't know. It could be both. Could be one.
You just when we talk about this topic, we do the brain.
Yeah, usually.
But it's what you rather do is an fMRI because you want to know what is actually going on in the brain as well.
Cool. The Corporal, sir. Thank you, sir. How's it going? Transvestigate is finding rooster in hen house.
yeah, that makes sense.
Oh.
It's a portmanteau of investigate and transvestite.
I assume that was what it was.
I like that one.
Yeah,
I like that. We should establish that one.
Okay.
We're stealing this one.
Anyway, guys, that was the video that I wasn't too offended by, and I was mostly confused by, and I still am. I don't understand how this person makes a series of thoughts onto paper and then reads that out and thinks this is how humans communicate. I think there's something fundamentally...
I don't think he scripted this.
Well, who could have? I mean, some other crazy person? Like,
also, for protocol, I will state that I am offended by this video and the nonsense that he talked about my medical.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to cover it the second time because I thought that it was a good video to cover for us. Wisp liked it to hate, and I was like, what is this about? Like, I still don't know what exactly he was getting at half the time until he started referencing ER. Like, he did it twice, about like once in the beginning and once in the middle.
Yeah, it's wrong because I say words.
And guys,
don't you understand? I'm saying words. That means I'm making arguments. It means I'm right.
When you can't comprehend the simple English that someone is using and saying this is so silly or whatever, I can't address it, you're the one with the problem. You're the one trying to make light of a question or a statement that someone has made that you disagree with, which is weird. Because if you disagree with something, you must have understood something about it to say it's wrong. That's. I mean, there's all kinds of logical errors he had with the gender is purely material and it's partially, and then these are the exact opposites. That was just like, logic, sir, not your strong point. But he's got money. People are making checks out to him for some reason, and he's doing well on YouTube. So congrats for being a blithering fool and brainwashed by perverts that have brain conditions or some forms of psychosis. I don't know what exactly that the trans people in the movement are diagnosed with these
socialism
days. I think it's more than that, but that's
but that's what's pushing this.
I'm sure that's a component. I think
you need to understand what socialism is really about. It's not about social programs.
I know, but I think it's for them because there are obviously socialists out there that aren't like this, right? So there has to be more to it than just a political ideology.
That's the ones who aren't about this are the useful idiots who believe it's somehow about social programs and helping people, when really it is about social conditioning humans into some other non-human thing so that the utopia can happen and we can break out of the magical materialist prison we are trapped in so that our souls can transcend.
It's sad that I had to bring it up twice that it boils down to real socialism hasn't been tried yet. That's what his message was to me, at least. Our version of John Money is better than his version, which is scary.
It's been tried a lot of times. It always ends up the same since the Since the Paris Commune, it's always the same.
What's the
who's not fully on board gets put to the wall.
What's the movie about the detransitioners that came out this year? I can't remember what it was called. But we should go check that out.
Mike, do you know the title?
For which thing?
The detransitioning documentary.
Fuck.
I had it on the I had it on the docket, but it's one of those things that are too burdensome for me to watch alone. I'll be honest about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
it's heartbreaking.
a depressing.
It's heart-wrenching every time I hear about a case of that, and because this is all done in by extension in my name, because I have this condition that they base the lies on, that they confuse these people into that, and now their lives are ruined.
I do know that it was...
Bodies are ruined, their life expectancy is ruined.
Yeah, I do know that a transgender group was like asking it to get removed from theater this year.
Yeah, those weren't real dysphorics. Those were likely the trans housing.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I guess.
Because I'll be honest with you. We, with the real medical condition, we are not organized. We have no community. Because we have too big troubles of our own to bother with organizing anything. That's the sad truth. So it's very easy to pretend to speak for people who are too, let's say, weak to speak for themselves, or who just want to be left alone, because then there's basically an open field to just take over. There's no resistance.
Wait, was it the documentary on that speedrunner guy, or probably?
No, it had nothing to do with the gaming.
Oh, right.
Anyway,
well, I mean, the gaming wasn't part of it. That was just
okay
attachment.
All right, cool. Well, I don't recommend watching it. I haven't seen it myself, so I can't say. But that's kind of the reality that we're in. If you want a more sobering message or real message, as opposed to whatever this gentleman was talking about in his defense of a cartoon, which is not very good, that would bring you up to speed on the reality that we're in today. And some of those stories are Canadian, unfortunately. We had to learn our lesson the past 10 years. So anyway, sorry to bring a downer on there, but that's what this crazy video was. It's just confusing and gobbledygook, and not a very good criticism of VR.
Pretentious.
A lot of projecting. Yeah. Very sad. I was hoping for at least one or two biases. It was mostly gobbledygook. And I'm right.
He didn't give his own definitions of the terms that he said he are.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. I don't know. Give us something fun, something cute. I don't care. Give me something to sink my teeth into that is not so depressing and illogical. Something that we could all have a good time with. That'd be great. So we will talk to you soon. Have yourself a great day. Take it easy.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.